Elections Day kicked off in Honduras in what is a clash between opposition models, with the polls setting the ruling right-wing Partido Nacional up against the left-wing Libertad y Refundación, ahead for a tied race. The president of Peru, Pedro Castillo, arrived in the Amazon region to attend to the affected communities after the strong earthquake of magnitude 7.5 registered in the country earlier this Sunday. And the Palestinian resistance movement, Hamas, strongly condemned Morocco's signing of a security, intelligence and military cooperation deal with Israel, underlining its implications for the Arab world. From the headquarters of TeleSUR English in Havana, Cuba, this is From the South. I'm your anchor, Gladys Quesada. Now we begin with the news. Elections Day kicked off in Honduras in what is a clash between opposition models, with the polls setting the ruling right-wing Partido Nacional up against the left-wing Libertad y Refundación ahead of a tight race. The balloting stations are already opened as 5 million citizens will attend the polls and decide who their president and various other representatives will be in the following years. National Electoral Council executives said some places are experiencing difficulties in the process and asked the citizens to remain calm and patient. One of the two favorites in the run, the Libertad and Refundación party, has been subject to unfounded political persecutions and ill-mannered procedures by the ruling party's officials and judiciary authorities in the last few months, as days got closer to the moment of truth and popular support increased. That organization's runner-up, Xiomara Castro, faces opponent Nasri Asfura, who intends to continue the legacy of current head of state Juan Orlando Hernández. Castro, in turn, has her eye set on reverting many of the neoliberal policies applied by said administration and to put a stop to corrupt activities and the spiral of violence and ever-increasing social inequity in the country. Honduras general elections are currently underway, as we were reporting. Over 5 million Hondurans are called to the polls to decide the future of the nation. With more details about the ongoing elections, we have our special envoy in that Central American nation, Carlos Montero.
A beautiful day for people to go out and vote, and that's what people's been doing. Since 7 o'clock in the morning when they open the polls, they're going to be open from 7 to 4 in the afternoon. So far there were not incidents. A lot of people are voting. There is a lot of control. I'm here in a district that's called the Hotel District. There are a lot of the international observers who are in this area, and they've been telling me that everything is going as planned. So far there were not any kind of incident to report. In this election, they are really important for Honduras because some people think that's going to change. The last 12 years, this country has been run by the National Party, but this election, it has a big possibility to lose this election because the National Party is represented by Nasri Asfura. Nasri Asfura is a person very well known in the capital of Honduras, Tegucigalpa. He's the mayor, he's the second time mayor, and he's very popular. But he has in the other side a party that the leader of the party is Xiomara Castro. Xiomara Castro is the wife of a former president of Honduras who was a victim of a coup in 2009. Xiomara Castro, all the polls that we know so far, she has a lead that it would mean that she could be the first female president in this country. As I told you before, 6 o'clock, they are closing the polls. 8 o'clock, 2 hours later, is going to be the first information from the election council, and we are going to know how this election is going. We are going to be in touch with you with any kind of news we are getting from Tegucigalpa, but that's all right now. Going back with you guys at the studio.
Thank you, Carlos, for this report. And now we continue. The presidential candidate for the Liberty and Refoundation political party, Xiomara Castro, asks citizens to attend polls and to exercise their vote in peace.
First of all, what we are saying is that it should be a civic celebration in peace and that we should all be able to go out to vote. The time has come. This is the moment and the opportunity for all Hondurans to make a change in our country, a real change. And that change is represented by this woman who is speaking to you, to tell you that we should have peace and disregard to provocations.
The presidential candidate for the Liberty and Refundation Party, Xiomara Castro, reiterated her commitment to install a government of national reconciliation.
I have a very big commitment. Logically, I want to tell you that I am not the only one who has the answer. We are going to install a government of reconciliation because our society cannot continue to be divided as it has been these 2 last years. We cannot continue to live in the fear of blackmail our society is living today. We cannot continue to allow this. We need to achieve a government of national integration.
Authorities of the National Electoral Council of Honduras said that in the evening they will offer preliminary results of the general elections taking place in the country.
As a plenary of 3 members and in public session, we will go out tonight to issue the first preliminary electoral results that will be given progressively. These are the only official results to be considered. We remind the citizenship that the results of single ballot boxes or any other type of exercise does not have any official value and therefore should not generate any expectation.
Ana Paula Hal Garcia, vocal of the National Electoral Council, said that the institution has guaranteed the general elections and called on the people to accompany the process in all its stages.
As the National Electoral Council, we have already guaranteed the holding of these elections. All the electoral ballots are there at their destination and voting will soon begin. We are continuing with the delivery of kits to implement the pre-voting system, a tool that we hope will cover the country. But if this is not the case, it will not affect the integrity of the vote. The records that cannot be transmitted will be processed with all the security measures required by the National Electoral Council, and we ask for the support of citizens as best observers of the process, and of course of the national and international observation missions.
As a member of the Center for the Study of Democracy, SUSPAD, Shen Rao offered his remarks about what is happening in Honduras and his role as an international observer during the election process.
So given past concerns about fraud and irregularities with the elections, today we have dispersed our international elections observers groups across Tegucigalpa, and we'll be keeping an eye out for irregularities not only in terms of infrastructure, like is there electricity in the polling stations, is there access to people for voting, but also irregularities in terms of any potential suspicious activity involving party officials who could be in the room, involving any sort of voter intimidation. We'll be keeping an eye out for this, and then we'll be reporting on these issues throughout the day.
We'll take a short break now. Join us again after this. Welcome back. The president of Peru, Pedro Castillo, arrived in the Amazon region to attend to the affected communities after the strong earthquake of magnitude 7.5 registered in the country earlier this Sunday. The head of state took to Twitter to express his solidarity with the affected citizens. This after meeting with the National Emergency Operations Center, ZION, to assess the monitoring and evaluate the situation in which the areas where the damages were recorded. The president also informed that he ordered the ministries and the different government agencies to conduct immediate actions to attend to the emergency. The 7.5 magnitude earthquake was registered in the Amazonas region, with aftershocks that were felt in the capital Lima and other cities of the country, as well as in Ecuador and Colombia. We now provide you more details on the matter. A strong earthquake with a preliminary magnitude of 7.5 has struck northern Peru in the U.S. Geological Service said on Sunday. The earthquake took place at 5:52 a.m. Sunday local time. The epicenter was 42 kilometers northwest of the coastal city of Barranca. Video and photos posted online show the historic tower, part of a 16th century complex believed to be the oldest Catholic temple in the Amazonas region, reduced to a pile of stones. There were no immediate reports of casualties. And inhabitants of the Ecuadorian provinces of Guaya, El Oro, and Loja also reported damage to buildings as a result of the aftershocks of the earthquake in Peru. Peruvian authorities have instructed the National Risk and Emergency Management Service to monitor the events and also to assess the damages. For the sixth consecutive day, the so-called Patriotic March is advancing in Bolivia in support of President Luis Arce and in rejection to the actions led by the right wing. The enormous march, led by former President and Bolivian leader Evo Morales, will arrive next Monday in the city of La Paz, after leaving from the eastern department of Oruro last November 22nd. During the journey of more than 190 kilometers, protesters have held different assemblies and meetings with the participation of the inhabitants of each city and the town visited. The demonstration plans to bring together in the city of La Paz the main organizations and social movements of the Indian nation to express their support for democracy and for the administration of President Luis Arce in his first years in office. The third migrant caravan departed this Saturday from the south of Mexico, heading for the capital. In this regard, we inform you that most of it has been dissolved. More or less 1,000 citizens, mostly from Central America and Haiti, handed themselves over to the National Migration Institute in Xochitepec in the municipality of Tuzantán, where they blocked the road in both directions to pressure the national authorities to provide them with means of transport towards the capital of the North American country. The federal subdelegate of the Migration Institute assured that they have requested more transport units for the more than 1,000 migrants who decided to continue their march to Escuintla. Recently, the United States Customs Office found more than 1.7 million undocumented migrants on its border with Mexico for the fiscal year that ended last September alone. Barbados is about to cut ties with the British monarchy, but the legacy of a sometimes brutal colonial past and the pandemic's impact on the tourism pose major challenges for the Caribbean island as it becomes the world's newest republic. Famed for its beaches and love for cricket, Barbados will replace Queen Elizabeth II with their current representative, Governor-General Sandra Mason, as the new head of state. Ceremonies on Monday evening into Tuesday will include military parades and celebrations as Mason is inaugurated as president, with Prince Charles also present at the event. The dawn of a new era has fueled debate among the population over Britain's centuries of influence, including more than 200 years of slavery until 1834, and the Caribbean island finally becoming independent in 1966.
As we look around, let us enjoy the beauty. As we move, let us bring our children here to learn. And as we build, let us remember that this too will be a living piece of art and space for those working, living, reflecting, playing in Bridgetown. And let us remember always that this is a community. From London Bourne to Pondside to Nelson Street to Spruce Street to Wellington Street, it is a community of residents and Bajans. And let us make sure that that community can live in harmony with this wonderful public space. May we bless this park, and may it always remind us of the importance of seeing people, hearing people, and caring about people. God bless our fair land. Thank you.
And we have more news coming up after a final short break, so stay with us. Welcome back. Kyrgyzstan's polling stations opened their doors for more than 3 million citizens to elect their new parliamentary representatives, a historic appointment for this Central Asian nation, as these elections are the first after the change of the Kyrgyz system from parliamentary to presidential. Elections began at 8 a.m. local time and will last until 8 p.m. to elect the members of the new Jogurku Kunesh, as the country's parliament is known, which will have a 5-year mandate. The parliamentary system establishes that the 90 seats will be elected for the first time through a mixed system, and 54 seats will be distributed among the 1,015 listed candidates from the 21 registered parties and another 36 among the 296 candidates from the majority constituencies. The parliamentary elections were called after last October's failed elections, which culminated in violent clashes and the resignation of the head of state. 736 international observers were invited by the Central Electoral Commission. Cleanup operations started in Solomon Islands, capital, as soldiers and police from Australia and Papua New Guinea helped to restore calm after several days of deadly riots. Residents of Honiara cleared shattered glass, rubble and rubbish from the streets as heavy machinery in the hard-hit district of Chinatown moved rubble from burnt-out shops. The riots broke out on Wednesday after protesters attempted to storm the Pacific Island nation's parliament, prompting the police to fire tear gas. Demonstrators then set fire to buildings, including a police station and shops. An early estimate of the cost of the rioting, released this weekend by the Central Bank of the Solomon Islands, said 56 buildings in the capital had been burnt and looted, with many businesses facing a recovery of more than a year. The loss to the economy was expected to be at least $28 million, and the nation's accounts, already struggling to recover from the COVID-19 pandemic, had been further weakened by the riots.
Past few days, to me, were not really good, especially when it comes in the preparations of food, because we were not informed of the protest claimed to be a peaceful protest. Somehow it's just for a few days after that day on Witness Day, we don't have enough food, so we have to stay quiet at homes and listen out for any other developments with regards to the riots and the burning of shops.
The Palestinian resistance movement, Hamas, strongly condemned Morocco's signing of a security, intelligence and military cooperation deal with Israel, underlining its implications for the Arab world. A spokesperson for Hamas resistance movement, Sami Abu Zuri, stated the agreement between both nations will jeopardize regional security and will give the occupying regime the opportunity to escalate their attacks against the Palestinian nation and to infringe upon the security of African people. The agreement was signed during a ceremony attended by Israeli Minister of Military Affairs Benny Gantz and the Moroccan Defense Minister Abdelatif Loudiyi in Rabat. The Palestine Liberation Organization Executive Committee also denounced the agreement and highlighted that Israel's continued illegal settlement expansion policy, forced displacement of occupied Al-Quds residents, gradual annexation of Palestinian lands, and prejudice against the Arab and Islamic identity of Al-Quds and its sanctities were reasons why Morocco should not have signed the deal. Now we address other topics. Guadalajara International Book Fair in Mexico, considered one of the world's most important, returned to its in-person mode. The most important publishing event in Iberoamerica gathered hundreds of writers, editors, and literary agents from the region and the world. From Uruguay to Mexico, Argentina to Ecuador, women writers from across Latin America are enjoying growing acclaim after years of marginalization by an industry that has long favored male authors. Common themes explored by Latin American women writers include violence, fear, and victimhood, as well as terror, supernatural or otherwise. Despite celebrating the book fair in different modes this year, attendees are complying with biosecurity measures to prevent COVID-19 contagion.
Our message is we are back. All we are saying is that after 2 very complicated years, because not only was it last year, it still is, we returned with all the limitations of the case, but we are back here.
And we have come to the end of this news brief. But remember, you can find this and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. And also, if you feel so inclined, please join us on social media for all the latest news. We are on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Telegram. For TeleSUR English, I'm Gladys Quesada. Thank you for watching.